Hello and welcome. Today I'd like to show you how to properly install the top monitor on our new cabinet, the Wave XL. Before we start with the installation, I'd like to point out a couple of things. When the cabinet is shipped, it will come with the main monitor already mounted and the cables connected in the back. So that is one issue that you will not have to worry about doing. Before we can mount the monitor, let's take a look at the cables that we have that are coming off of the display itself. First, we have our grounding strap. You have your cable that controls all the LEDs for the top monitor, as well as you'll have a jumper that has a connector on it that will connect to the candle. Next, coming off the bottom of the monitor, you will have three other cables. These cables will be the power. You will have, again, a LED cable that plugs into your LCU. And you also will have your DP cable. This plugs into the backplane board. Next, you will have what we call the mounting bracket that actually secures the top monitor to the cabinet itself. It will have a plate that looks like this. This plate has a total of 8 screws that is made into the housing. Now, this assembly will apply to both the 27-inch monitor as well as your 30-inch monitor. So the steps and processes that we are following will be the same. On the bottom of the monitor display, you will have 4 screws that you will use a Phillips screw with a number 2 tip screwdriver. You have 2 screws that are located here. And you also have 2 screws that are located here. This will mount to the plate as I showed you earlier. So let's do that before we mount the monitor on top of the cabinet. To mount the mounting plate to the bottom of the monitor, you want to pull all your cables through the opening on the mounting plate itself. Next, I want to mount the mounting plate to the base of the monitor itself. As you can see, I've started with the 2 screws, and I find this to be easier for me. So I've got one side lined up, but I'm not tightening the screws all the way. I'm only putting them on with my hand to prevent stripping the threads on the screw. Okay, all my screws are now secured. Now, notice on the bottom of the mount, there are 6 standoffs. These standoffs are going to go in the top of the game, and there are holes that have this pre-drilled. When I go to mount the monitor on the game itself, I will need the assistance of 2. So you will need no less than 2 people to mount the monitor to the top of the game. Before we begin mounting the top monitor, as you can see, what I've done is I have the door that's halfway open. And the reason why I have it halfway open is it makes it easier to pull the cables and route them as needed when you are going to connect all the cabling and stuff. As you can see, like I said, you will need 2 people to help you mount the monitor up top. So what we've done is we've started running the cables down into the top. On the top, you have 2 openings, one on the left and one on the right. What we've done is for the longer cables, we ran those down on the left. We're going to run the shorter cables down on the right. So we've got the monitor halfway open, and I'm pulling cables down through. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to help Webster go ahead and lift the monitor up so we can go ahead and line up in the holes. He's going to be my eyes and ears. I'm more so just holding it for him so we can line it. Okay, so now that we have it mounted, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take two 10mm nuts, and I'm going to go ahead and secure the cabinet so we can let it go. So again, I'm pulling them on halfway down so I can reach the screws and such. And I'm going to put two, again, 10mm nuts on two of the standoffs, so this way we can now let the monitor go. So that's one. And that's two. Now, one other thing to point out, when you do mount the cables, or pull the cables, make sure you pull them all the way through and they're not tense. So we can now let the monitor go and we're good to go. So next we want to do is connect run the cable in as supposed to, and connect all the cables as needed. One of the things to point out when you are running cabling for this cabinet, you want to make sure that you run them correctly, because if you do not run them correctly, you could potentially pinch or cut the wires. So with the candle and the topper LED lighting, as you can see here, we have the cherry switch. This is the switch that lets you know that the main door is open. So what I want to do is I want to take my candle and my LED cable and run it behind that little mounting bracket that they have that is there, like so. I'm going to have them hanging in the bottom to where I can connect my cables as I need to. Next, I want to take my grounding strap. I have two standoffs right behind the cherry switch again. I want to mount my grounding strap to that one standoff. So my grounding strap is grounded, and I can now connect my candle. Okay, now that I have my grounding strap connected, as well as the candle, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and put the remaining four nuts on the mounting for the topper. Using my 10mm wrench with a socket extension, I'm going to secure the screws for the mounting plate and the top monitor to the cabinet. If you do have a flex bit, I would suggest you use a flex bit to do this part as well. It makes it much easier. Next thing to do after we've got our monitor mounted to the top of the cabinet and our cables connected for the candle and the LEDs for the top monitor, we want to go ahead and route our cables. When you're looking at the game, if you're in the front of it, on the right-hand side, you will see a fan. There are two of them that are in the top. So what you want to do is you want to take the cables that are very long that has the DP cable, your power cable, and then also the LEDs for the monitor that's going to plug into the LCD. You have these wire stays that actually hold the wires. So you want to run it to the right of the cabinet and connect all those. So I will do that next. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm actually going to go ahead and, as I told you all before, we're going to run the cables and make sure we put them into the wire stays as they have them. And I'll make sure I'm running my DP cable, my LCU cable, and the power cable for the monitor down the right side of the cabinet. After I got the cables tied into the top, then ran through the tie-offs and stuff, what I want to do, what you're going to notice is in the cabinet, you're going to have two tracks, and there's going to be a cover plate. Cover plate's going to look like this. This is what's going to secure the screws in the cabinet itself. So you're going to have to remove this cover, then take your cables and run the cables down the right side of the track and put them into the wire loom hole that they have that is in there. After I've got the cables ran down the right side and then secured through the wire loom, I need to put my cover on. It's going to be held on with 3 Phillips screws. So that's what I will do next. Okay, now that we've got our cover over the wiring cable, and what we're going to do now is we're going to actually go ahead and connect the remaining cables that we have that are left over. The power cable, it's going to connect to here. You'll see the main harness that go up. You'll see a connector. It's a 4-prong. You want to make sure that you connect that. After that, what I've done is I've taken the liberty to go ahead and run my cables and put them into the tie offsets they have this in the cabinet. So I have those secured. Next, I want to connect my LCU board. I'm going to put in the diagram here to show you exactly where it plugs into the LCU. So make sure that you plug it into the correct port. So I'm now connecting my LCU cable. Last cable to run will be our DP cable. Located in the back of the game on the right side, there's an opening. You want to drop the cable down through this opening, like so. Being that the cable is going to be so long, you'll make sure when you tie it off that you tie it off enough to where it's still pretty neat and clean. Try to keep it as neat as you possibly can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cable, run over to my backplane board first, like so. On the backplane board, the DP cable that you pull down for the top monitor will be plugged into the bottom port. And in the inset, as you can see, I'm showing you exactly what port you're going to be plugging this cable into. So connect your cable. Once you got the cable connected, then go through and clean up all your wiring harnesses and make it all as neat as you possibly can. This completes the installation of the top monitor. This process that I showed you as far as the installation will apply to both products. To remove the top monitor, perform everything in reverse as you've seen in this video. Thank you.